In this video, I'm going to talk to you about audio files. Now, in the last video, I probably told you that I was going to go ahead and start talking about audio sources and listeners at this point. And I started to, and I suddenly realized that if we haven't already discussed audio files, then some of the things that I was going to say could prove to be confusing. So I decided to jump over and talk about audio files instead. Before you can even have a sound in your game, you've got to bring it into Unity. And when you do, it's really just a matter of either going under Assets and choosing Import New Asset. And when you do this, you'll see that you can choose, well, all files is available, but if we go under where I've got these hidden, if we go to U drive and we jump under our, let's see, I've got Source Assets. Now let's see, I've got Snow World Audio. Awesome. And here I have some WAV files and MP3 sounds, and we can import these like so. Or it's just as easy, in fact, maybe a little bit easier, to just grab them and drop them right into your project file. But I want to make sure I have a folder before I do this. So in my project folder, I'm going to go to Create. Let's make a folder that I will call Audio. And then let's just grab this and drag it right into the audio folder. So it's all four of them coming in at once. Now you'll see it's going through an import process. Internally, audio files are going to get compressed by Unity. Now, if you're working on a PC, you're outputting to a PC, then compressed files will go out as OGG Vorbis. And if you're on a mobile format, they go out as MP3. Unity will accept MPEG files 1, 2, and 3. So you can bring in MP3s, you can bring in OGG Vorbis files, you can bring in WAV files, AIF files or AIFF files. You can also bring in audio tracker files such as mod files, IT files, S3M, and XM. So if you've got those files, if you're working on, was it Screamer, or I can't remember the other one, or if, an actual fmod file, you can just bring those right in. So we'll let these import. They should be done here in just a moment. I actually brought in some music so we can put music in our level. Perhaps not the most appropriate music, but I didn't have to worry about licensing, which is always nice. So close. And just get that last bar. Excellent. There we go. So now if we expand this, I have some sounds. Now if you click on any one of these sounds, you'll notice that in the inspector you get the audio importer component that's been applied to them. And this basically just gives you access to the properties of this particular sound. Now they're pretty straightforward, so let's just grab one and start at the top. First off, the audio format. Do you want this to stay native or compressed? It's just exactly what you think. Compressed files take up less space, but you do lose some fidelity. Generally, as a rule of thumb, it's a good idea to leave shorter sound effects uncompressed, but to make sure that longer files such as dialogue or musical pieces do get compressed down. Now your next checkbox is for 3D sound. If this is checked, then you can have the sound become spatialized in your game. So you can get closer to it and it'll get louder. You can walk away from it and it'll get quieter. It'll react to Doppler effects and that sort of thing. All of the stuff that we'll be talking about extensively in the audio source video, you can use as long as you have 3D sound checked. If you switch this off, it's just a 2D sound. It'll never get quieter as you move away from it, and really the only power you have is to pan it from left to right. If you have like a music file, like for music that's going to play during your game that the player's always going to hear, you can just go ahead and set this to 2D sound, just uncheck 3D sound. Now, if you need to take a sound that is stereo and force it to mono, you can do that just by checking the Force to Mono checkbox. I believe the sound that I've already got here is mono to begin with, so it's not going to make any difference in my case. Now, if I dig through, here we go, our fire sound effect. You can see this is 2-channel audio, so this I can force to mono if I feel like it, and this will just be considered mono instead of a stereo sound. Next, we have decompress on load. If this is checked, then the files will go in, excuse me, they will start off compressed when your game actually starts, but once these are loaded into memory, they will be decompressed to their full audio. This can help save space for the actual file of your game itself. It'll actually keep your game smaller, but allow those files to be decompressed to their full fidelity when playing. Again, this is something that you probably only want to do for smaller sounds and not for long sounds like dialogue or sound effect or anything like that. Down from this, we have hardware decoding. This is more important for things like iOS, where we can actually have a hardware decoder to handle MP3 playback, but not something that we really need to worry about here. At the bottom, we have a compression slider. Now, this particular piece of audio is already compressed, and there's nothing I can do about that. So I can take the rate of compression, and I can pull it from 256 all the way down, and then apply, and it'll re-import the asset with the new level of compression. And I can give it a listen down here in the preview area to see how it sounds and see how I like it. Excuse me. Now, in this particular case, this is just a fire sound of a crackling fire. So if there were little pops or staticky sounds that come along with the fire, there's a really good chance we wouldn't notice, which means that if we take the rate of compression and pull it down a lot further, then we can end up with a much smaller file that still gets the job done. And you can hear that sounds like a roaring fire. Now down from here, we have the ability to turn autoplay on for this sound, so that when it comes in, it's just automatically going to play in our game. We can turn on looping for it, and of course we have a play button. And then we've got a nice little window here where we can preview the sound's waveform if we want to see that. So that is a quick look at our actual audio files. Now, in the next video, I'll start talking about the audio source and the audio listener, and we'll actually get to put these to use. But that will wrap things up for this video. Thanks a lot.